Hello there and welcome to this special edition of the Business Swansea Business Support Hour. My name is Matt Callaghan, part of the business support team within the economic development team at Swansea Council. Now, any of you who have been to our business support hours previously will know roughly how they work. We run them live online with a business expert and make the videos available at a later date afterwards on our YouTube channel. Now this one's slightly differently in so much as we're recording this one straight to YouTube, so there was no live recording of this made. So how this has come about is that we have, through the business support function within the team, run a programme called Shop Doctor. Now the Shop Doctor was in place to support local retailers throughout Swansea, and it allowed them to have a company visit from a mystery shopper, following which they would get detailed feedback and support to help them develop their business, particularly in relation to customer care and customer service. So in response to this, we've identified a number of areas where there were particular areas for support, and we're now making this available in the form of a live video. So what you're about to see is Mel Evans from Insight 6, who are our contractors for this particular programme, provide some of the insight that she's gained, not just from working within Swansea businesses over the past few weeks and months, but also using her vast experience in dealing with businesses, helping them to improve their customer care and their customer service. So this will broadly follow the normal format of our business support hours, in so much as it will last around 60 minutes, but there'll be no audience interaction. It's purely a recording that Mel has done for us, in response to the programme that we've run recently. So hopefully you'll enjoy the next hour or so and find it very, very useful with all Mel's valuable insights. And of course, we'll return to our normal schedule of business support hours over the next few weeks and months. So sit back and enjoy this, and I'm sure you'll find it very helpful. Thanks.
Hello, welcome to Shop Doctor Customer Experience Workshop. Today I'm going to share with you some hints and tips on how best to engage your customers, and really to explain a little bit about the project we've been doing in conjunction with Swansea City Council, which includes some of your businesses. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. But before I do that, let me just explain who I am and what I do. So I own a business called Insight 6, and my name is Mel Evans. I work with all sorts of sectors, all sorts of businesses, large and small, from Cardiff Airport to Bluestone in West Wales, and a number of small independent businesses as well in Cardiff and Swansea City Centre. And I help those businesses improve their customer experience. And I'll talk a little bit about customer experience on the next slide. But what I do to help them understand it is I basically measure how it feels to be a customer in your world. And then I look at how best to engage your customers. And I can do that with a number of tools. But a lot of people ask me, what is CX? And CX is short for customer experience. And customer experience is a whole number of things. We will have all experienced it day to day every time we engage with the business, but we're probably not consciously aware of it. So this graphic very much demonstrates what I consider to be the 6 pillars of customer experience. And it all starts with brand. It's where you position yourself and how you position yourself, because that drives perception. So social media, websites, how you communicate online, how you communicate on email, how you communicate over the phone, all of that stuff will drive perception. And everywhere that your logo or your business name appears, that is your brand. That is your brand awareness from your customers. So your brand will drive perception. And a good way of thinking about this is to think about supermarkets. We all have our favorite supermarkets, but we know that they will deliver different things. So for instance, if you're going to shop in Waitrose, you will know you'll have a decent range of high quality food to choose from, some really nice luxury product. You'll also know it's going to be expensive. It's not something that you'll go for a quick shop. It's not somewhere you'll go because you're on a budget. It's somewhere you'll go because you want to treat yourself. On the other hand, if you're going to Lidl's or Aldi's or Asda even, you will know you're going to get a great range of product, decent quality food, but it's going to be cheaper. It's going to be good value for money. So your key driver to go there might be around budget. So that's a great example of how brand influences our decisions. And it will be the same with your type of business. You have to have to give your customers a reason to want to engage with you. Why should they come to you over somebody else? Whatever it is you sell. So your brand perception is what will drive customer engagement in the first place. When the customers have engaged with you, they go through something called a customer journey. And that's how your customers will go through your business. So everything from a point of contact, it's not just a physical journey, it's actually how they engage with you online, how they're aware of you. What does that feel like when they do walk through the doors? What does it feel like if they email you? How easy do you make it for them to buy? Ease of transaction. How engaged are your team when they do get contact with customers? And it really is an end-to-end process. And the one thing that everybody is aware of and focuses on is customer service. That's probably the one of the 6 pillars that everybody does understand. And we do quite a bit around customer service, and it's particularly what I'm going to talk about today. But the 6th pillar is very much around emotion. It's around, we are all as consumers emotionally driven to connect with brands, to connect with product, to connect with people. It's a big thing. And a good example of this is we're quite brand loyal, and we might drive a particular car, a Mini or a Mercedes. We might wear a particular perfume or particularly like Nike trainers over Adidas. So that's all emotional. That's about how it makes us feel. So when you're engaging with your customers, when you're presenting your brand, think about the emotional connection. Why should they engage with you over anybody else that sells what you do? And then the key fact around customer experience is it's the difference between what the customer expects and what you deliver. And that gap is the bit that I support businesses in. What they want to deliver, what they think they're delivering, and what they really deliver will always be slightly different. So why is customer experience so important? Well, it is a little bit like looking in the mirror. It's a little bit like, I think I'm delivering this, but actually I don't know. And you won't know unless you ask your customers what their perception is, what they feel about your business. And it's important because it increases customer retention, it increases your sales, which of course, that's what you're all in business for, to get more money in the till, to get more customers. It encourages you as a business owner to walk in your customer's shoes. If you start to think about customer experience, it'll identify gaps in your opportunities and then allow you to grow sales. It will increase customer recommendation. So we all work and live in a world where social media plays a huge part of our personal lives and our business lives. And to be honest, customer recommendation is probably the number one thing. If you can get your customers recommending your business to others, that saves you a whole load of time. It saves you a whole load of money marketing your business. And it allows your business to happen. It allows it to flow. So if you focus on the customers that are in front of you, make sure they're happy, make sure you're delivering what they need. They will do a lot of the stuff for you in terms of recommendation and selling your business to others. Of course, we are in challenging times coming out of COVID. People are finding it hard to retain staff. So ensuring you've got some sort of foundation, if you've got regular income, if you have got a great customer experience going on, that does increase security for your staff. It does allow them to think about the future with you. It allows you to grow your business as well. And a key thing to remember is customer experience will differentiate you from others. So if you're a law firm, there's probably going to be hundreds of law firms in a big city like Cardiff as competitors. You all sell the same thing. So why should a customer come to you over somebody else? You've got to make that decision for them. You've got to demonstrate to potential clients, actually, you're great at what you do, and here's the reviews, and this is what your clients think, and this is what you're going to do about it. So I would suggest that you think about customer experience, but through the lens of the customer. Build your reputation and think about how important it is. The one thing that's really important about customer experience is not viewing it through your eyes. You're passionate about what you do. Your business is your baby, the chances are. And you see things from your side of the lens. It's really important to see things through the customer's eyes. And by seeing it through their eyes, you start to see where the opportunities are, and they're usually missed opportunities. So you can't know how your customers feel, but you can ask them. So when you're thinking about customer experience, always think about, how does it feel to be a customer in my world? Because once you get that thought process going, you'll start to see some opportunities, and you'll start to ask for feedback, and you'll start to see feedback as a good thing, not a bad thing, because lots of people are a little bit resentful of feedback at times, especially when it's not what they want to hear. We're all the same, we're human, and it hurts. So opening your mindset up to, okay, tell me what I could do better, tell me how it feels, tell me, did that do what it needed to do for you, really does help in business. So seeing it through your customer's eyes, seeing it through their perspective, not necessarily yours, is a really important thing. So let me go on and talk a little bit around the Shop Doctor programme. So the Shop Doctor programme is something I was asked to help out with, and worked in conjunction with not just the local authorities, but with Welsh Government as well. It was supported by Welsh Government. So we did a number of mystery shop activities, you could call it. I would call it more customer experience review across Swansea city centre and surrounding areas, Carmarthenshire and Pembrokeshire. So we worked with 3 key local authorities. And the aim of this project was very much for the local authorities to understand how it felt when visitors came, how visitors interacted with businesses, and to really understand how they could help the businesses in their towns and cities. So the first thing I want to say about this activity is it is not a judgment on you as a business. It's very much a cross-section of the city or the town or the high street that you're sitting in. And therefore the reports are not bespoke to your businesses. And sometimes you'll find that, the questions in there are not something you will have ever thought of as a business. So just to add some context to this, it's very much around an overview piece of insight, not a really bespoke drill down piece of insight for your business, although it does reflect in the reports, and you do get some really good information in those reports which have helped businesses. I know I've had conversations with businesses following this, and they've really found it useful. So we did 12 visits in Swansea Market, 23 visits in Swansea City Centre, 10 visits in the Uplands, and 15 visits in Mothers. And the reports we used were standardised reports. As I've said earlier, they're not bespoke to your business. They're very much an overview. We used 2 types of report. We used one that was retail orientated and one that was food and beverage orientated. So if you sold any sort of food, any sort of restaurant, cafe, we would have a different type of report, because we were asked to comment on food presentation, food quality, food choice, that sort of thing. So it was a slightly different report for the food operations. And this graphic very much shows a summary of how the reports were split up, and the experiences were split into how the businesses looked on the outside, how the businesses looked and feel on the inside, service and staff element, and food quality and choice. And from that, the local authorities were able to get a benchmark of, we commented on pavements, we commented on all sorts of stuff. So it wasn't just about the business. How your business looks from the outside is important, but how the customer feels during their journey is really valuable to you as a business. But the local authorities were also able to get some sort of benchmarking going to work out how it feels, what areas they can support you. And in truth, that's why this workshop's happened, because you'll see through some of the feedback that we gathered that actually service and staff was an area that actually, if you're going to invest anywhere, then help the businesses locally by providing some service and staff focus. So the customer experience workshop was evolved through that. So within the report, we would look at outside the premises, inside the premises. As I said, these are more standards related And you can see that there is a narrative comments box at the end of each section, so that we're able to give a bit of feedback. The businesses concerned were all sent their reports. If there are any businesses on this call that knows they took part but still haven't been able to find the report, then please contact me. My email is above my head, and or you can contact your local authority. So the second part of the report then was more around service and staff and food quality and choice, if it was food orientated business. And you'll see from there was lots of different questions. Every researcher that we sent in will have engaged with the business. So they will have had customer contact with the member staff. And you can see there's just some key service elements there that we measured. Doesn't apply to every business because not every business would focus on certain things, but it's certainly something worth looking at within your business and something that you could probably consider as a business moving forward. So it acts as a good checklist, if you like. So when we did all the visits, and we've actually done over 300 visits across all the local authorities, we pulled together something called a benchmark. And the aim with this is we're not naming and shaming any business. The only people that get to see the individual reports are the business concerned and the representative that I work with in the local authority. But actually, they are more interested in the global piece of insight rather than the individual piece. It was just an opportunity for you as a business to get involved and have a free report, in truth, have some free guidance on how you can improve, how you can help, and how you compare to others in the city or the town centre. If you look at the Swansea cut of results, the overall results, you'll see within this graph there are outside scores, inside scores, service and staff, food, and overall. And you can see from the bottom key that the green bar is Swansea, the dark grey is Mumbles, the yellow is Uplands, and the purple is Market. And in the Market, we couldn't do outdoor, indoor because they weren't on a street or a position where they had a shop front particularly. So we just did service and staff for them. And you can see from that, we identified the opportunity was around service and staff. There was some very good scores in terms of standards around outside and inside premises, very consistent actually, looking across the whole piece. Service and staff were variable. So if we looked at Swansea, the green bar, that was it coming in at 78%, and Mumbles at 79%. And the Market scored particularly well, 95%. So lots of engagement, and that's the style of business in the Market as well. It's very close contact, and I would expect a market environment to be very high on customer engagement. The food element, now we shopped at a whole variety of places, from little cafes to large franchise brands to restaurants and pubs. So it is variable. And this was an average score, so that showed some opportunity there. And it was more around engagement around the food piece, around the presentation of food in some instances and how it was served, around the choice of food as well. And then the overall score shows that the Market came out top at 95%, but the variance was 83% to 95%. And 80% is where I would usually set a benchmark with a business we don't work with. So in truth, most people hit the mark there. But yes, there's some room for improvement. And I think that, some of those businesses did a really good job. There was reports in there where people were getting 95 and 100%, which is really good. Some really good reports came back. And others, evidently, other businesses were either at a point where they were developing, or they might have, still be struggling a little bit coming out of COVID. And maybe just haven't given enough thought to their engagement with the customers, and that probably dragged the score down a little bit. But overall, it was certainly not a disaster. So with that in mind, we decided to do a little bit of a session around the customer experience piece. And that has definitely got us to a place where we're able to say, okay, customer service is probably a key factor here. And it's really about thinking about what is customer service. And it is about your engagement with people from every point in the journey, from online social media interaction, if you're responding to things online, to what you're doing with your website responses, what you're doing verbally is obviously a big part of that. And after service is a big part of customer service. You know, if a customer comes and spends a lot of money with you, engages with you, do you continue to communicate with them? Do you reach back to them? Do you thank them? So customer service is a big, big subject and probably something I could talk about all day, but we haven't got all day. So I've tried to really narrow it down to give you some key hints and tips today. So just thinking about, you know, the gap. I talked about the gap earlier between what business owners want to deliver and think they're delivering and what customers actually receive. But there is a gap. And in a survey that's been done worldwide across a whole raft of sectors, business owners were asked what percentage of the time they felt they were delivering consistently high service. And business owners said 80% of the time they felt they were giving really good service. And then the customers were asked what percentage of the time they felt they had consistently high levels of service. And it came back as 8%. So there's a huge gap there between what the customer stroke, what the business thinks they're delivering versus what the customer feels they are receiving. Now, a lot of that's around consistency. And I see this a lot in businesses that, you know, some of the time businesses do a great job in delivering service. The next day they might be short-staffed, might be something going on. They don't deliver such a good service. So consistency is a key challenge in businesses. But the gap, the CX gap, as I call it, is something worth considering because every business has a gap. You may not know what it is. You may not know how or why, but you will have a gap between what you think you deliver and what you actually deliver. And the cost of not delivering great service, well, it's pretty obvious, really, because if, as a customer, I'm not particularly happy with a meal I've had when I've gone out or an engagement I've had when I've gone into a business, I will tell people. It's obvious, we all do it. You know, you had a bad experience taking your car for a service, or you had a poor meal when you went out to a restaurant. First thing you do is tell people. Conversely, you also tell people when you've had a great experience. Average doesn't really come into it, and lots of businesses deliver average, and that's probably a bit of an unknown territory, a bit of a dangerous ground, because you're not good enough to be remembered and you're not bad enough to be remembered. So I would always say, you know, think about the effect you're having. One customer going away really happy, telling a lot of other people, and it is a lot of other people now. You've got social media. They go on, put a post up. It could reach thousands of people. It's invaluable. To get that right is invaluable in any business. And this demonstrates that, you know, it's who did they tell when they had a good or bad experience with around customer service. Friends and family came out top, and 80% of people told friends and family when they had a bad experience, and 72% of people told their friends and family when they had a good experience. So you can see there's value in it. And the more good experiences you deliver, the less bad experiences you will deliver as a business. So think about that. Think about the ripple effect of how your customers feel. And in truth, you want this, don't you? You want happy customers. That's what everybody wants. But what's going to make them happy? You won't know if you're not engaging with them at the right level. What makes me happy won't necessarily make the next customer happy. And from your point of view, you think you're delivering everything your customer needs. It's not always as simple as that, because people's viewpoints change. And if we think about COVID particularly, we've all been in a place where we've had to change what we want, what we need as consumers. Safety become a big issue for us. As business owners, you had huge challenges around having to close your businesses in most cases. And if you were still functioning, you were functioning in a very different way, in a very different world. And what happened during COVID is It changed us as consumers forever. We will never go back. Nothing ever goes back. It only ever goes forward. So think about your business and think about the business you had before COVID and the business you've got today. How much has it changed? And I can guarantee you your customers will have changed. So if you've just opened the doors back up, continued as you were, the chances are you're missing an opportunity. Consumers now want things more quickly. They want things their way. They want different things than they wanted pre-COVID. And the truth is that was always evolving. I think all COVID did was speed it up. And service in particular is something I've seen good and bad coming out of COVID. I've seen some really great examples of COVID forcing businesses to be more engaged. And I've seen some really poor examples. And, a lot of the stuff we did because we were told to do it. But I suppose my overriding bit of advice around COVID and how it's impacted customers is don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So a great example of where COVID forced an improvement in service was in food and beverage, where when they did open back up, it was all table service. That's great for the customer. You come in, you sit down, you don't have to get up again. You don't need to go to the bar. Somebody is constantly feeding you your drink, your food, whatever you need. And you know what? That's a great opportunity for the business, because instead of somebody sitting with an empty glass in front of them for 10 minutes, 15 minutes before they can be bothered to go to the bar, somebody should be on them going, would you like a refill? Would you like this? Would you like that? There's that engagement point. You have a reason to engage with customers. But I see lots of businesses have stopped that now. And I get why. I get that employment is an issue. I get retainment of staff is an issue. And what's happened is that employees' needs and wants have changed as well during COVID. And I do quite a bit around employee engagement. And I'm not going to go into that now, but actually it's crucial. You will never deliver a great service with a disengaged team. So the two things go hand in hand. Happy customers is ultimately what you want, and 5-star reviews. But actually there's something more. It's more about this. Happy customers are great. But you've got to wow me for me to remember you. If you think of all the times you've eaten out as a consumer, you probably don't remember most of those meals unless they were really bad or really good. If you think of all of your experiences as a customer, a lot of what we do is out of functionality. So we need to do food shopping. We need to take the kids to school. We need to put fuel in the car. Actually, that's all functional stuff, and we don't think about it unless there is a wow moment. Unless there is something that's happened that makes you go, whoa, hang on, I wasn't expecting that. And that's the epitome of great customer experience, delivering something the customer wasn't expecting. So just doing what you do is not necessarily delivering great service. So think about the last time you were truly wowed as a customer. What were the circumstances? How did it make you feel? Who did you tell? All of those things are important. I've had quite a few experiences recently, and I'll tell you about one. I just come back on holiday to a resort I've been to a few times, but with COVID, I probably haven't been back for 4 years. And one of the nicest restaurants in the resort was somewhere I nearly always go when I go to that part of Spain. So I decided to book a table in this particular restaurant, and went with some anticipation that maybe it wouldn't be as good as I remember, because things are rarely as good as you remember. But also the impact of COVID. Lots of businesses in Spain were actually only operating 3 days a week. And this was at the end of May. And lots of businesses had gone in this particular resort. So I had some trepidation that maybe this meal, this restaurant wasn't going to be as good as I remembered it. So I turned up on the night, walked through the door, gave my name, and instantly the owner of the restaurant appeared from behind the bar and was so genuinely delighted to see me, remembered us, came and sat down with us, gave us a drink, asked us loads of stuff, talked about stuff that I talked about when I was there last, which was 4 years ago. So to me, all the other stuff, the environment was amazing. It was exactly what I remembered. The food was great, exactly what I remembered. So it ticked all the boxes. But the thing that made the experience was that wow factor. It's the wow factor of the owner of the business actually remembered me and engaged with me. And it wasn't false, and it wasn't something that was just done with every customer. He knew his customers. And even though he might not see his customers from 1 year to the next, or in this case, 4 years had passed, he still remembered them. And that's great customer experience. It is about the wow factor. Deliver something your customers are not expecting when they come in through your doors. And that can be done with anything, believe me, not just restaurants. It can be done in any sector, in any business. I've been challenged many times to prove that statement, and I can. So delivering something that is unexpected is the key that unlocks the door in terms of wowing your customers. And if you think about that, I want you to think about customer experience in practical terms as well. So for me, there are 3 elements to customer experience. Firstly, did it work? Are you doing what you say on the tin? So if your website says that you offer a fast, speedy service, and I turn up and it's not fast or speedy, then actually it doesn't tick that box. You're instantly on a back foot with the customer because the perception is you're going to deliver it fast, and you didn't. So you've got to go a long way then to recover the situation. If your website says you're good value for money, then it needs to be good value for money. It can't just be a statement. What are you comparing yourself to? Are you comparing yourself to your competitors? Are you offering like-for-like product? So doing what it says on the tin, the functionality piece, did it work? Are you doing what your website or your social media page says you do? Or even your business name. Your business name sometimes drives perception, but doing what you say you're doing is a given. You have to do that every time. Then there's the whole piece around making it easy. Did you make it easy for me to engage with you? Now, this can be on a number of levels. This can be online. Okay, I've heard about your business. I don't know where you are, who you are, what you do. So can I find your website easily? That's the first thing. When I find your website, can I navigate it easily? Can I find the information I need? When did you last update your website? I do quite a lot of mystery shopping on web inquiries, actually, to allow businesses to understand what their customers are struggling with. And it's amazing how much businesses don't know, because actually you don't use your website as a customer, so you won't know. And websites are out of date so quickly, and our perception is driven by good websites that we engage with. So the making it easy isn't just about your website. It's about how we can navigate an actual shop or store environment. It's about having the products I need, being able to get the product. It's a whole host of things. And a great example of making it easy is Amazon. And the image in the graphic is the Amazon buy now with one click. They were the first people to do this. And if you think about how difficult it can sometimes be to actually go through the transaction part of buying something online, it can be long, it can be drawn out, it can be painful. They want to know everything from your date of birth to your inside leg. I mean, why do you need to know my date of birth? I'm buying something. It's got nothing to do with my date of birth, but it was data gathering. So what Amazon have been great at is moving us all to a mindset of quick and easy. But you know what? They make it quick and easy, and we spend loads with them as a result of it. Because you don't have to put your card details in time and time again. You don't have to put your personal details in time and time again. You literally put it in the basket and buy now. And you know what? They're even great at the after sales, because if I buy it, I don't like it, doesn't fit, I can send it back. It's really not an issue. So you buy with confidence. So they make it really easy. And that's an extreme case, but they are the leaders in it, which is why I talk about it. But think about how does that apply to your business? How easy do you make it for me to spend money? And let's be frank, you want me to spend money that maybe I didn't want to spend. You know, depending on what you're selling, it may not be an essential purchase. It may be an impulse purchase. So make it easy. Encourage me, give me information, engage with me, ask me what I need. The easier you make it, the more likely it is I'm going to spend some money with you. And then the big thing I touched on earlier is the emotional element. How do you make me feel? It's that makes the whole experience memorable. It's that creates loyalty in your business. Think about what I just talked about my holiday in Spain. It's about how that owner made me feel. Therefore, every time I go back to that resort, I will definitely go back to that restaurant, unless it changes hands or the food goes downhill. He's on a winner. He's got me every time I go. Why? Because he made me feel special. It wasn't scripted, it was genuine. And that's a big deal. So that emotional piece, how does it make me feel? How do you make your customers feel? Either when they wear your brand, they engage with your business, they talk to your member staff. How do I feel? Because the feeling piece is the most powerful piece. The other two are a given. Did it work? And make it easy for you to spend money. You should be doing that all day long in your business. How do you make me feel? That's a little bit harder. And depending on your business, it can be very challenging. I suppose a good example of this may be law firms. Most of us engage with a solicitor or a law firm because we have some sort of crisis in our life. We're not just going there for the fun of it. We're going there because actually we need something that we can't handle, and it can be very stressful. We're not in a great place. So how can a solicitor make us feel good? Well, actually, they can by showing us they care, showing some empathy, reassuring us that they can sort it out or help us sort it out, demonstrating that they do a good job, checking in with us during the process. You know, are we okay? Is everything going okay? Is there anything we need to ask them? So even in something as challenging as legal, as a sector, the emotional element is actually very strong. And it is in every sector. There are just different levers you need to pull, different triggers that will make a difference. And it does apply to every business, no matter how big or how small. So think about your business in these three dimensions: function, ease of transaction, and emotion. And think about what you can do to actually change some of that stuff in your business. So you want your customers to feel great when they engage. I've talked about emotion. So it's the feelings element. So if you look at the different feelings, the different emotions, this is really about, you get this stuff right and you're actually in a place where you're creating some loyalty. You're making people trust you as a business. And that's what's quite important. So safe, that was a key element when we were through COVID. That hasn't gone away. There's still an element of customers that want to feel safe. Still an element of customers that will want to wear a mask. Something I've seen more recently, which I think could be a mistake, is lots of businesses are moving hand sanitizer gel away from the counters, away from the doors. Well, okay, you don't have to do it anymore, but there may be some customers that like that. And in the end, we're going to be left with businesses that are doing all this stuff still and have continued with some of these restrictions, I would call them, but they're not restrictions anymore. They've become the norm. You've got to think about that element of customer. If that is your demographic, that is your type of customer, and only you will know what demographic you target, what your type of customer is. Think about what they need from you. because removing things that make them feel safe may give them a reason not to come. You want people to feel valued when they come into a business. I've talked about that on a personal level. If I don't feel valued when I walk into your shop, then chances are I'm not going to come again, because you didn't really show any care, you didn't engage. It was just a process. Okay, there's different types of businesses where feeling valued can mean different things. But in truth, think about how valued your customers would feel. So there's lots of different feelings that go with the emotional side of things. So think about that. Think about, what can you do as a business that is unique to you? What can you do that will make them remember you? Because if they remember you, they'll tell others, they'll come back, they'll spend more money. Okay, so there's something called moments of truth. And I am a big advocate of moments of truth. In a previous life, I was an operations director in a large retail chain. And moments of truth can be good or bad. And I used to spend a lot of my time talking about moments of truth. And they're very much they're not about what you think, they're actually about how other people see your business. And they do feed into this whole customer experience, customer service, benchmarking. They're moments of truth. So if you have had one of our customer experience reports from the piece of work we did, the shop doctor piece of work, and there may be something in there that niggled you. I know I've had a couple of conversations with business owners that have said, oh yeah, but we don't do that, and you can't mark us down for that. The truth is, that's because you're passionate. But the truth is, it's almost a moment, it's also a moment of truth. You don't like it, it hurts, I get it, but it's a moment of truth. If you stand back and think about it, the chances are that is something that could be done in your business and would add value to your business. So moments of truth are not always easy to accept. And sometimes they're really easy to accept because they're really good. So they can be everything from, litter outside your front door, that's a moment of truth. You keeping the front of your premises clean and tidy. To having a great review online where a member of your customers have actually gone, you know what, this is amazing. You've got to go, you've got to try it. I've had amazing food, I've had amazing service. That's a moment of truth. So thinking about your moments of truth, how do your premises look? How do you deal with customers? The products you sell, they are moments of truth. So we've all been there where we've bought something, I'm going to say cheap, I don't like the word, but I've done it, bought something cheap, and it hasn't really lasted as long as I wanted it to. It wasn't really very good quality, or if it was food orientated, it wasn't really that nice. That's a moment of truth. Chances are we won't do it again. We won't buy bad a second time. So think about the products you sell. Are they to the standard that you want your business to be represented? And a big moment of truth in this world that we live and work in is online reviews. They can be bad or they can be amazing. So in truth, there are businesses out there that say to me, I don't look at them, I'm not interested in them. And there are businesses out there that are totally focused on them. That is their world. Keep driving those reviews. And that drives up the whole customer experience, because you have to deliver a great experience in order to get a good review. And it becomes self-perpetuating. Those businesses that choose not to look, well, the truth is it's never going to go away. They're there and they're there to stay. So you're better off engaging and responding to them, whether you agree with them or not, than you are ignoring them, because there will be a competitor that does engage, does push forward with it. And when you consider 92% of consumers look at online reviews before they engage with a new business, it is massive. It is absolutely huge for businesses. You can't ignore them. They're not going anywhere. They're only going to become higher profile. And On the right-hand side, just taken a couple of public reviews. So I've not breached anybody's confidence or GDPR rules. They're out there on TripAdvisor. And I chose a business that was in Swansea and well known. And actually, it's a business I frequent quite a lot, and I've got quite a good view of it. And you can see that there's 2 reviews there. The one on the bottom gave 2 stars. And these reviews are 3 days apart. So the one on the bottom gave 2 stars. It's a very poor service. Now, if you read that review, very poor service and food was poorly presented. They didn't say the food was bad. They didn't say they had a terrible steak. So it was all about the experience. It was all about how was it presented and what was the service like. Those 2 things impacted them. The food was probably great, but everything else wasn't so good. And then the one above it, comments on how well known it is in Swansea, great atmosphere, Saturday lunchtime. So, you go from 2 stars to 5 stars. And the truth is, neither of them mentioned the quality of food, because the quality of food was probably okay. It was probably what you'd expect from the brasserie. So there's a great example of how the whole customer experience over and above what you sell impacts your business, impacts how other people will perceive your business. And the overall score for the brasserie is 4.1 out of 5, which is still pretty good when you look at the volume of reviews. So a little tip for you, if you're ever looking at reviews for a business that you're thinking of engaging with as a consumer, don't just look at the score, as it were, because they've got different scoring metrics. Look at how many reviews were involved, because sometimes it's such a low number, you can't really make a judgment from it. In this instance, 669 reviews. 4.1 is actually quite a good, high, consistent score. So just think about that. And also go online and do a little search on your own business and see what pops up. You might be surprised. There might be some comments on Facebook. There might be some comments on Google My Business. And these things, they're all representing your brand. They're all representing your business. So it's part of the customer experience. And the other thing I would urge every business to do, if you don't already have it, is have a Google My Business page. It's free. And it's somewhere you can send customers to give you good reviews. Why wouldn't you want to? It's a free platform. It's a free marketing opportunity. And it allows you to represent your business, but also give somebody a place to look to make a judgment on your business. And if you're proactive around customers, you've got nothing to fear. You may always get the odd bad review. And my rule of thumb there is, if you get a poor review online, respond to it online, but do it politely. Never ever engage in an argument online. Always take it offline. Show the world you're engaged and you care by engaging with the comment, but ask them to contact you on a maybe have a specific email address you only use for that. It's not personal. So yeah, public reviews, they're a big part of your world. So make sure that you are using them. Make sure that you are doing everything you can to represent your business in a positive light. So your role in the moments of truth are very much about how you engage. It is about taking interest in your customers. It is about the obvious things, smiling, acknowledging customers when they walk through the door, how you present your business. And the last point there that's on the screen is take ownership. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's twofold, really. Take ownership for making it a great experience. Do something that is going to represent your business in a good light. But take ownership when it's not so good. Quite often I hear businesses blaming the customer. Oh yeah, well, it's just the customer. It's just the way they are. Can't please everybody. No, you can't please everybody, the truth is. But you have to be able to say, you know what, I did my best and I did make an effort and I did listen. And actually, yes, there was an element of truth in it, that I could have done things differently. So just taking ownership for things when they're good as well as when they're bad, will make a difference to how you're perceived with customers as well. You know, one of the biggest opportunities businesses have is when customers complain. Businesses don't always see it this way, but if a customer writes in and complains or goes onto social media and complains, the biggest opportunity you've got to win that customer back is there and then. Because if you can turn a bad situation good, and I've actually had this as a customer, you will be loyal to them. I had a very bad experience with a particular brand, which I won't name. I wrote, I complained, I went on social media because they've been engaged, they had automated processes. And I eventually got their attention, and they fixed it, and they fixed it really well. The thing was, they fixed it over and above what I was expecting. And from that point on, I thought, well, okay, it shouldn't have happened, but they fixed it, and they did a really good job of fixing it and apologizing to me. And I gave them another chance, and I continue to use that business. So if they hadn't engaged with me, I probably would never have used them again. So thinking about those opportunities as well. So a lot of what I've talked about is around communication. And we communicate every day. It's what we do. So think about the 3 dimensions of communication. There's words, so verbal. There's tone, so it's about how we say things. And there's body language. Now, some of those are more relevant than others, depending on the circumstances. So majority of you listening to me are going to be picking up on tone and a bit on words. Because you can't fully see me, body language is probably less of an indicator. But if you think of the percentage split you would apply to those three dimensions, say on a face-to-face, so in your shops, in your outlets, what percentage do you think would apply to each of those dimensions? Because it's not usually what people think it is. It's actually only 7% around words and 15% around tone. 78% of how your customers perceive you is around body language when they are in front of you. And that is huge. So you might be saying the right things. You might be wishing them good morning or goodbye. But actually, if your body language isn't right and your tone is slightly off, it won't mean anything. It won't be meaningful. So you've got to think about that with your teams, with your employees. How are they engaging? But not what are they saying, how are they engaging? It's a very different thing. And when it comes to telephone, a lot of people think about what they say, not how they say it. But actually, 75% of it is tone. So if you think about not just what you say, but are you upbeat when you answer the phone? One of the things I do when I train in customer service is I say to people, when you answer the phone, you have to smile. And they say, why do we have to smile? Nobody can see us. Because when you smile, your tone of voice changes. So smile when you answer the phone, your tone of voice will be positive, it will be upbeat. And that will change the perception, that initial point of contact with the customer will be impacted. So think about those little things that you can do to change how you engage with customers, because it makes a big difference. It's the emotional element of customer experience. And just really to go along the same lines, really, the make me feel special. One of the things I did in a workshop recently was put a post-it note with make me feel special across the front of everybody's heads, and then asked other people to make them feel special. And it's quite difficult, but it's a silly exercise, but actually it impacts quite a lot in terms of people thinking about what do they do to make the customer feel special. Not just what do they say. What they say is important. What do they do? Much like my experience when I went to Spain and the owner coming out, giving me a big hug and talked to me and remembered me, that made me feel special. And hence, I'm telling hundreds of people as a result of it. So getting your employees to think about, how do you make your customers feel special? It's probably a good little conversation to have. Even if you don't talk about anything else that I talked about on this workshop, talk about, what can I do to make my customers feel special? What is it that's different? What is it that makes them go away and tell their family, their friends, their associates in work? So just think about those things, because if you can make them feel special, they'll repay you in loyalty. They'll repay you in spades by telling others. So just to sort of sum up a little bit now, the 6 key customer service actions are as follows. Always welcome customers. Doesn't matter whether they're on the phone, whether it's even online, written, engaging with somebody in a welcoming manner, not just hello. It is quite important. Being warm and friendly, it can come across on all sorts of platforms, whether it's written or whether it's verbal or whether it's face-to-face. So that is the number one. Make sure that you're always welcoming to customers, even if they're not particularly nice back to you. I'm a realist. I worked in retail for many years, so I know that customers are not all honey, but in truth, they're customers, and they do pay our wages. So it isn't actually about them. It's more about you and how you present the business. So always have a nice, warm, friendly manner is really quite important. Be authentic. I've talked a bit about how you engage with people, and the thing that makes my experience in Spain really valid was the owner was really authentic. It wasn't scripted. It wasn't something I saw him do with everybody that came through the door. Yes, he had different ways of greeting different people that he knew. So sometimes you do need a script, especially when you're training employees on the phones, for instance. And sometimes employees need guidance. They need skills. They need to learn. So a script can be really good, but move them from that. Don't keep it fixed. Everybody's got a different personality, so you need to be authentic in how you speak. And there are regional dialects and regional influences that also affect this authenticity. In Wales, sometimes if you're in West Wales or certainly in North Wales, the Welsh language is quite a big thing. So that makes it authentic. Selling Welsh product is also a big thing. So just be yourself, just have a personality. It doesn't have to be scripted, it doesn't have to be stiff. It just needs to be nice and warm and friendly. Put yourself in the customer's shoes. I've talked a lot about this, and it is very much that. You see your world through your eyes. You need to see your world through your customer's eyes in order to really understand it. And once you do that, you will change the perception of your business. Make me feel special. Think about ways that you can make customers that walk through your door feel special. That could be little things, or it could be really big things. But to be honest, most of the time it is the little things that people remember. It is the little things that people want to, that can do easily without it doesn't have to cost money. This is not about money. This is not about spending. This is just about, how do you make your customers feel special? Deliver the unexpected. Acknowledge everyone. Doesn't matter who they are. Doesn't matter whether they're time wasters or whether you think they're not in there to buy anything, whether they're just mooching about, taking up time. They're still customers. And if they're not customers today, they might be customers tomorrow. And once you start picking and choosing which customers you acknowledge and which customers you engage with, then you're at risk of that lack of consistency. So keep it consistent. And the obvious thing, smile. So often I go into businesses and see people that are busy, engaged with something on a computer screen, engaged with another customer even. Just lifting your head and smiling when you greet the customer is such a big win. It's a simple thing, but you'll be amazed how many times it doesn't happen. And when you go into businesses as consumers, look out for it. It's not always there. and you feel it when it is, and you feel it when it's genuine. So those would be my 6 top tips in terms of service and key actions. And just to sort of sum up on that, you can't measure it. If you don't measure it, you can't manage it. So this is an old retail saying, but actually it is true of many, many things. And you may think you're doing a good job. How do you know you're doing a good job? You may think your business is amazing, but okay, you might have plenty of customers and plenty of revenue, so it probably is amazing. But that doesn't mean it can't be improved. But none of us know how well we're doing unless we can measure it. And you can measure customer experience. That's what I do a lot of the time, is measure it. And whether it's the mystery shopping, whether it's the feedback, whether it's focus groups, but different methods of measurement, but measure it in some way. Because if you're not measuring it at all, how do you know? And one of the key things that people sometimes say to me in business, I don't have a problem now. I don't get any written complaints. Complaints are not a measurement of how happy your customers are. When you consider only 1 in 25 would actually bother to complain, the rest would actually just go and tell everybody else. So don't use complaints as a measurement. You can use reviews, you can get actual customer feedback, you can do something called an NPS score, where your customers will score you on a scale of 0 to 10. There's lots of ways of measuring customer experience, but complaints are not one of them. So don't use that as your benchmark, because it's a false benchmark. So I'm not sure if there's any thoughts coming in from the audience, but I do have a couple of questions here. One question I have from a business owner is around, what one thing do you think we could do to make a difference in our business, given we don't have a huge amount of money to spend? Well, look, take on board the 6 key principles in terms of customer service. And if you're going to make efforts anywhere, then try and make it on gathering feedback. Gathering feedback is a critical thing. And if businesses ask their customers more often around what they think, how would they measure the business, and don't just ask the obvious question like, was everything okay? That's not going to give you any valuable feedback. What you want to know is, what else could we do to make a difference? What else could we do that we don't do already? What would make a difference to your world? So think about those things, because once you start to get that feedback, it's like gold dust, and it doesn't cost much. You can engage with your customers in different ways. You can put surveys out on social media. You can use platforms. You can use reviews. So just think about your feedback method, because that's quite important as well. Okay, I don't have any other questions. So just to wrap up, that's my email address. If anybody's got any questions around the piece of work we did as Shop Doctor with Swansea City Council, or around your individual concerns or challenges in your business, then please feel free to drop me a line. And all that's left to do is for me to thank you for listening, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.